Hi, so I was about to read chapter 20, but I can't really remember what happened in chapter 19. So I'm going to go and read through that again. Excuse me, I'm just eating some grapes. I'm waiting for my meeting with the psychiatrist. So it says, in those days, Israel had no king. Now a Levite who lived in a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim took a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah, but she was unfaithful to him. She left him and went back to her parents' home in Bethlehem, Judah. After she'd been there for 4 months, her husband went to persuade her to return. He had with him servants and 2 donkeys. She took him to her parents' home, and when her father saw him, he gladly welcomed him. His father-in-law prevailed on him to stay, so he remained with them 3 days, eating, drinking, sleeping there. On the 4th day, they got up early, and he prepared to leave, but the woman's father said to his son-in-law, refresh yourself with something to eat, then you can go. So the 2 of them sat down to eat and drink together. Afterwards, the woman's father said, please stay another night and enjoy yourself. And the man got up to go. His father-in-law persuaded him, so he stayed there that night. In the morning of the 5th day, when he rose to go, the woman's father said, refresh yourself, wait until afternoon. So the 2 of them ate together. Then the man with his concubine and his servant got up to leave. Father-in-law said to the woman's father, now look, it's almost evening. Spend the night here. The day is nearly over. Stay and enjoy yourself. Go tomorrow morning. I'm willing to stay another night. The man left and went to Jerusalem, with his 2 donkeys and his concubine. When they were near Jebus, the day almost done, the servant said to his master, come, let's stop at the city of the Jebusites and spend the night. His master replied, no, we won't go into any city whose people aren't Israelites. We'll go on to Gibeah. He added, come, let's try and reach Gibeah or Ramah and spend the night in one of those places. So they went on, and the sun set as they neared Gibeah in Benjamin. Then they stopped to spend the night. They went and sat in the city square, but no one took them in. That evening, an old man from the hill country of Ephraim, who was living in Gibeah, the inhabitants of that place were Benjaminites, came in from his work. When he looked and saw the traveller in the city square, the old man asked, where are you going? Where did you come from? He answered, we were on our way from Bethlehem in Judah to a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim where I live. I've been in Bethlehem in Judea, and now I'm going to the house of the Lord. No one has taken me in for the night. We both have straw and fodder for our donkeys and bread and wine for ourselves. Your servants, me, the woman, and the young man with us, we don't need anything. You're welcome at my house, the old man said. Let me supply you with whatever you need. Only don't spend the night in the square. So he took them into his house and fed his donkeys. After they'd washed their feet, they had something to eat and drink. While they were enjoying themselves, some of the wicked men of the city, Gibeah, pounded on the door, shouted to the old man, bring out the man who came to your house so we can have sex with him. The owner of the house went outside and said, no, my friends, don't be so vile. So this man is my guest. Don't do this outrageous thing. Look, here is my virgin daughter and his concubine. I'll bring them out to you, and you can use them and do with them whatever you wish. But as for this man, don't do such an outrageous thing. But the men would not listen to him, so the man took his concubine and sent her outside to them. They raped her and abused her throughout the night, and at dawn they let her go. At daybreak, the woman went back to the house where her master was staying, fell down at the door, and lay there until daylight. When her master got up in the morning and opened the door of the house and stepped out to continue on his way, there lay his concubine fallen on the doorway of the house with her hands on the threshold. He said to her, get up, let's go, but there was no answer. Then the man put her on his donkey and set out for home. When he reached home, he took a knife and cut up the concubine limb by limb into 12 parts and sent them into all the areas of Israel. Everyone who saw it was saying to one another, Such a thing has never been seen or done since the day the Israelites came out of Egypt. Just imagine. We must do something, so speak up. Chapter 20. Excuse me. The Israelites punished the Benjaminites. Then all Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, and from the land of Gilead, came together as one and assembled before the Lord in Mizpah. The leaders of all the people of the tribes of Israel took their places in the assembly of God's people, 400,000 men armed with swords. The Benjaminites heard that the Israelites had gone up to Mizpah. Then the Israelites said, "Tell us how this awful thing happened." So the Levite, the husband of the murdered woman, said, "I and my concubine came to Gibeah in Benjamin to spend the night. During the night, the men of Gibeah came after me and surrounded the house, intending to kill me. They raped my concubine and she died. They took her, cut her into pieces, sent one piece to each region of Israel's inheritance, because they committed this lewd and outrageous act in Israel. Now, all you Israelites, speak up and tell me what you've decided to do." All the men rose up together as one, saying, "None of us will go home, not one of us will return to his house. But now this is what we'll do to Gibeah. We'll go up against it in order to decide, in the order decided by casting lots. We'll take 10 men out of every 100 from all tribes of Israel, and 100 from 1,000, 1,000 from 10,000, to get provisions for the army." So basically, yeah, well, you know what's happening. I don't need to explain. Then when the army arrives at Gibeah in Benjamin, it can give them what they deserve for this outrageous act done in Israel. So all the Israelites got together and united as one against the city. The tribes of Israel sent messengers throughout the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What about this awful crime that was committed among you? Now turn those wicked men of Gibeah over to us, so that we may put them to death and purge the evil from Israel." But the Benjamites would not listen to their fellow Israelites. From their towns they came together at Gibeah to fight against the Israelites. At once the Benjaminites mobilized 26,000 swordsmen from their towns. In addition to those, the 700 able young men from those living in Gibeah. Among those soldiers there were 700 select troops who were left-handed, each of whom could sling a stone at a hair and not miss. Israel, apart from Benjamin, mustered 400,000 swordsmen, all of them fit for battle. The Israelites went up to Bethel and inquired of God. They said, "Who of us is going to go up first to fight against the Benjaminites?" The Lord replied, "Judah shall go first." The next morning, the Israelites got up and pitched their camp near Gibeah. The Israelites went out to fight the Benjaminites and took up battle positions against them at Gibeah. The Benjaminites came out of Gibeah and cut down 22,000 Israelites on the battlefield that day. But the Israelites encouraged one another and again took up their positions where they had stationed themselves. On the first day, the Israelites went up and wept before the Lord until evening. And they inquired of the Lord. They said, "Shall we go up again to fight against the Benjaminites, our fellow Israelites?" The Lord answered, "Go up against them." Then the Israelites drew near to Benjamin the second day. This time when the Benjaminites came out from Gibeah to oppose them, they cut down another 18,000 Israelites, all of them armed with swords. Then all the Israelites, the whole army, went up to Bethel, and there sat weeping before the Lord. They fasted that day until evening and presented burnt offerings and fellowship offerings to the Lord. And the Israelites inquired of the Lord. In those days the Ark of the Covenant was there, with Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, ministering before it. They asked, "Shall we go up to fight against the Benjaminites or not. The Lord responded, "Go, for tomorrow I will give them into your hands." And Israel set up an ambush against Gibeah. They went up against the Benjaminites on the third day and took up positions against Gibeah as they had done before. The Benjaminites came out to meet them and were drawn away from the city. They began to inflict casualties on the Israelites as before, so that about 30 men fell in the open field and on the roads, the one leading to Bethel and the other to Gibeah. When the Benjaminites were saying, "We are defeating them as before," the Israelites were crying, "Let's retreat and draw them away from the city to the roads." All the men of Israel moved from their places and took up positions at Baal Tamar, and the Israelite ambush charged out of its place on the west of Gibeah. Then 10,000 of Israel's young men made a frontal attack on Gibeah. The fighting was so heavy that the Benjaminites did not realize how near disaster was. The Lord defeated Benjamin before Israel, and on that day the Israelites struck down 25,100 Benjaminites, all armed with swords. Then the Benjaminites saw that they were beaten. Now the men of Israel had given way before Benjamin because they relied on the ambush they had set near Gibeah. Those who had been in ambush made a sudden dash into Gibeah, spread out and put the whole city to the sword. The Israelites had arranged with the ambush that they should send up a great cloud of smoke from the city, then the Israelites would counterattack. The Benjaminites had begun to inflict casualties on the Israelites, about 30. They said, "We are defeating them, as in the first battle." But when the column of smoke began to rise from the city, the Benjaminites turned and saw the whole city going up in smoke. Then the Israelites counterattacked, and the Benjaminites were terrified because they realized that disaster had come on them. So they fled before the Israelites in the direction of the wilderness, but they could not escape the battle. And the Israelites came out of the towns and cut them down there. They surrounded the Benjaminites, chased them, and easily overran them in the vicinity of Gibeah on the east. 18,000 Benjaminites fell, all of them valiant fighters. As they turned and fled towards the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, the Israelites cut down 5,000 men along the roads. They kept pressing after the Benjaminites as far as Gideon, struck down 2,000 more. On that day, 25,000 Benjaminite swordsmen fell, all of them valiant fighters, but 600 of them turned and fled into the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, where they stayed for 4 months. The men of Israel went back to Benjamin and put all the towns to the sword, including the animals and everything else they found. All the towns they came across, they set on fire. Wives of the Benjaminites, chapter 21. The men of Israel had taken an oath at Mizpah, "Not one of us will give his daughter in marriage to a Benjaminite." The people went to Bethel, where they sat before God until evening, raising their voices and weeping bitterly. "Lord, God of Israel," they cried, "why has this happened to Israel? Why should one tribe be missing from Israel today?" Early the next day, people built an altar and presented burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. Then the Israelites asked, who from all the tribes of Israel has failed to assemble before the Lord? For they had taken a solemn oath that anyone who failed to assemble before the Lord at Mizpah was to be put to death. Now the Israelites grieved for the tribe of Benjamin, their fellow Israelites. "Today one tribe is cut off from Israel," they said. "How can we provide wives for those who are left, since we've taken an oath?" Then they asked, which one of the tribes of Israel failed to assemble before the Lord at Mizpah? They discovered that no one from Jabesh Gilead had come to the camp for the assembly. For when they counted the people, they found that none of the people of Jabesh Gilead were there. So the assembly sent 12,000 fighting men with instructions to go to Jabesh Gilead and put to the sword those living there, including the women and children. "This is what you are to do," they said. "Kill every male and every woman who's not a virgin." They found among the people living in Jabesh Gilead 400 young women who'd never slept with a man, and they took them to the camp at Shiloh in Canaan. Then the whole assembly sent an offer of peace to the Benjaminites at the rock of Rimmon. So the Benjaminites returned at that time and were given to the women of Jabesh Gilead, who'd been spared, but there weren't enough for all of them. The people grieved for Benjamin because the Lord had made a gap in the tribes of Israel, and the elders of the assembly said, "With the women of Benjamin destroyed, how shall we provide wives to the men who are left? The Benjaminite survivors must have heirs," they said, "so that the tribe of Israel will not be wiped out. We can't give them our daughters as wives since we've taken an oath. Cursed anyone who gives a wife to a Benjaminite. But look, there is an annual festival of the Lord in Shiloh, which lies north of Bethel, east of the road that goes from Bethel to Shechem, and south of Lebanon. So they instructed the Benjaminites, saying, "Go and hide in the vineyards and watch. When the young women of Shiloh come out to join in the dancing, rush from the vineyards, and each of you sees one of them to be your wife. Then return to the land of Benjamin. When their fathers or brothers complain to us, we will say to them, 'Do us a favour of helping them, because we did not get wives for them during the war. You will not be guilty of breaking your oath because you did not give your daughters to them.'" So that is what the Benjaminites did. While the young women were dancing, each man caught one and carried her off to be his wife. They returned to their inheritance and rebuilt the towns and settled in them. At that time, the Israelites left that place and went home to their tribes and clans, each to his own inheritance. In those days, Israel had no king. Everyone did as they saw fit.